Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste, Madhuji.
I wanted to talk about this separation that happens in relationships, especially for women when they are growing up. The sense of connection with their parents sometimes is lost. At least in the West, I have observed that women wanted to move out of the house at a very young age.
Oh my God!
Because they are unable to tolerate the agony and the suffering they go through with the parents. How can one work on this or understand themselves, and how can they process this kind of separation?
Okay, we can go into that. But what is the kind of agony of that girl child or young adolescent woman in these Western homes? What is actually her agony? What form does it take?
So, for example, I have a client. She has come to me because she wanted to. She sees that she's very abrupt. She's very reactive with her children, and she does not know where it has what goes wrong, because whenever she loves her children, she loves her husband, but she very much reacts to them. And one of the things that she was mentioning was that she never felt that love from her mother or father. The father was loving or being nice or loving her brother more, but when it comes to her, constantly not only criticizing but making fun of her. Even though she wanted to try something different, she wanted to go and study and or something like that. He used to constantly criticize her, but not the brother. So that has caused a lot of, and then mother's support was not there for her. And so at a very young age, she was just waiting for the time at 16 or 17, she was waiting for the time to go away from that. And from then on, she never looked back. And now here she is, she has built a life, she has studied on her own, and she did all that, and now she has two children and a husband with whom she is happy. But what she came to me was, when she came to me, she says, I don't feel that connection with my children. I love them, but I do not know. She was not certain that if that love is reaching to them.
Okay.
And she was constantly struggling with that, and she wanted to. She's always criticizing herself. That self-esteem was not there with herself, and so these are the struggles that they go through. And that is the main thing, and that there is no connection with the parents, because the feeling of the tribe of my people, my tribe, that sense of security was not there.
Okay, this is actually a classic example, and if anyone like you do a lot of counseling work and therapy work. It's very important that we spend a huge amount of time with these people, and then we'll be able to help them. But it's a very tricky thing, because if you're going to spend so much of time with one suffering soul, then it'll be difficult for you to earn your bread. It's a very dicey thing. So one has to make some kind of a balance, and one has to develop, actually, train and teach and develop a whole brotherhood of people who understand the work which we are doing, and who will be volunteers and helpers and practitioners of this work, and that may enable them to also survive on their own feet in the morrow.
Right.
We've got to do that as we keep doing this work. That's the only way we will be really able to address the ills in society and to help suffering souls.
Right.
Now, coming back to this young lady, thank you for sharing that very tragic case. My feeling is that most of humanity is drowsy in Maya. Drowsy. They're sedated by the sensory excitements and by the pleasures of life, and they're not awake. And a very important milestone in, leave alone the spiritual life. There is some talk about the spiritual life, and especially in the West, that I had a spiritual awakening, you had a spiritual awakening. That kind of talk is going on. I'm not talking of that. I'm talking about human flowering. Now, this human flowering is very much like a mango seed being planted in the earth, and then you water it, and then it gets enough sunshine, and then the mango tree comes out of that, and finally from the tree you get a mango fruit.
Yeah.
A ripe yellow colored mango fruit you get. So that's a very natural process. And all human beings have to flower and have to mature through life. It's just like the body maturing through all the pediatric milestones.
Yes.
In the beginning, we didn't know how to walk. As babes, we didn't know how to walk. We didn't know how to talk.
Right.
But then we picked up language, and we picked up mobility with our limbs. And then we went to school, we acquired knowledge and mastery of some knowledge, etc. Like that, the consciousness has to flower. Consciousness has to flower. That is the self within yourself that has to flower, that has to mature through life. And awakening to sorrow is the most important milestone. Now you're very fortunate in being able to deal with a suffering soul who has got so much of suffering on her plate.
Yes.
Now, that's an asset for her, and it's an asset for you. It's not a difficulty for her. It's an asset. It's a spiritual asset.
They don't see it that way.
They don't see it. But your job as a teacher will be to bring her to the discovery of that fact, that this is a blessing in disguise. Now, if this difficulty was not there in life, then she will be a pleasure-seeking, mediocre young woman.
Yes. Pleasure-seeking and also constantly pleasing.
Constantly,
to survive, pleasing in that relationship. And even though she does not like it, she tries
put on an act
and try to please them. That is one thing. So you mentioned awakening to sorrow.
Most important milestone.
Yes. How does one go about with that, about awakening? What does it mean, awakening to sorrow?
Okay, excellent. That's an excellent question. You see, the self in you or in anybody, it is a very sovereign thing. It's actually the divine center in us.
Right.
But because it's associated with the body, then it undergoes corruption.
So when you say self in you, is it the consciousness or
the I feeling?
Feeling of I.
Feeling of I.
Okay. It's not the ego.
It manifests also as the
ego.
It also manifests as a rough edge of that. The rough edge of this is the ego.
Rough edge of it is the ego. So you're talking the sense of I is what you say when you say self.
Of course, the sense of I.
The
sense of they didn't love me and they didn't give me a chair to sit.
Yes,
that's the story, right?
Right.
That's the self.
So that self is sovereign, you say.
That is sovereign, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you don't know it. You've got to discover it.
Okay.
That's a big goal in life.
Okay.
We'll come to that.
Yes.
Now, coming back to the young lady, the young lady has got her share of suffering from the peculiar life circumstances where there is a gender discrimination and the boy is loved and the girl is not loved. We thought this is only a problem in Hindu society. Now I'm hearing that this is also a problem.
And another thing she struggles with is the brother's partner the parents are very nice to her brother's partner, but not to her. And they whenever they go have a family gathering, she says that they are secretively talking and laughing. And they are not including me into the conversation.
Yeah.
And when I try to do that, they say there is nothing here to talk about. So that makes her feel like an outsider in her own family.
Yeah.
And she struggles with that. And every time she brings that up, she is blamed for it. They say, no, something is wrong with you. You are seeing that way, but we are not that. So this is the kind of struggles that she goes through.
Yeah, I know that. I know a parallel case in Hindu society where certain parents, they have a son and a daughter. They are full of adulation for the son and the son's wife, even though he's a very bad guy. Okay? And they're not at all loving of their daughter. Even though she's bright and she's economically independent, she was in a divorce and she got out of that marriage. And tremendous amount of agony because there is discrimination, and you are an insider in the family. At the same time, you are an outsider because they draw an inner circle, keeping you out.
Exactly.
So this seems to be a universal problem. We'll come to it. It's a social malaise. Social malaise. Now, so far as this young lady is concerned, she has to. I'm going to prescribe the ultimate medicine for this. And it's not my medicine. It's the medicine given by the world teacher, Sri Krishnamurti. And she has to drink the wine of suffering, or the bitter medicine of suffering. She has to drink it. And when she drinks it, then there is a self in her declaring to you, who are her teacher and counselor, and to other close friends, that I am suffering. And underneath the whole thing is the idea, who are you? Who is the self? So it's the idea that you're a woman.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, can you think of the possibility that a human individual, man or woman, the identity of the self will completely change and you redefine yourself, not as a man or a woman, not as an engineer or a doctor, but as an unnameable spiritual entity which is beyond this world.
So without any label that you are a spirit being.
Well, I don't want to use the word spirit being, but because you happen to be wearing a body.
Yes.
And the body happens to be feminine. It's not a masculine body. But that's just like a raincoat.
Yes.
You're having a raincoat.
Right.
And that raincoat can be that of the body of a woman or body of a man. But deep down inside, you are a divine center.
A divine center.
A divine center.
Okay.
Now, unless and until you actually migrate from the outer identity that you're a woman to the divine center, which is your refuge, your solace, and your bliss.
Right.
You make the transition from there to here, and you learn to abide in the divine center. This false identity that you're a woman and the pain associated with that is not going to go.
Okay.
It will go only by drinking that suffering, and that suffering, God planted the in human life.
Yes.
God, Almighty God,
Okay.
Parabrahma, He planted. Why? Is it a mistake in creation? I don't think so.
Yes.
Because He is the supremely intelligent being. So He planted it so that your wrong sense of self can be annihilated if you're sensitive enough to drink that suffering which the divine is offering to you in life.
That is the antidote for her suffering.
Exactly.
For her suffering, the antidote is actually to drink it.
To drink it, yeah. Yeah,
Right.
that's suffering is poison.
Poison.
And the antidote is the drinking of it. And when you drink of it, you're freed from that suffering, because then your identity, that you're a woman, that you're a girl child,
Then you don't personalize it.
you don't
you don't
personalize it.
identify
You
yourself.
lose that identity.
You
Then
lose
what is the new identity you got?
Right.
The new identity, your intelligence incarnate,
Yes.
your awareness incarnate, Now, that's immense, infinite power.
In power within you.
Now, what do you want to do with that power?
Yes.
You want to waste that power just bemoaning your bad fate and bemoaning the fact that your parents didn't love you, your family didn't love you. No, that's too cheap.
Yes.
No.
But that energy will be very strong.
It's very strong.
Yes.
Now, the whole of life is for the expression of that divine energy which is there in you. You got to bring her so far. You have to bring her so far.
And she also tried to talk to her brother. Right, and because she does not have any, she's much more intelligent than her brother. The brother does not do much, but she's more qualified and she's much more intelligent than him. And she tried to make amends with him also, thinking that again something is wrong with her. That is that is her feeling. That is her feeling.
Mistake.
Exactly, and that is her feeling that okay, maybe something is wrong with me.
Oh my God!
I need to make work with him, and even that did not work out for her, and now that is spilling into her. The current relationship with her spouse, with her children, and that is where she is struggling.
You need to completely reorient her. And you need to make her very sensitive to suffering.
Yes.
Now, usually, only religious institutions and spiritual teachers will be concerned about a certain human being becoming sensitive to suffering.
Yes.
Because that's the whole essence of the religious life, sensitivity to suffering.
Yes. Yes.
Now, just to, in an aside, going back to the Hindu counterpart of your tale, I've got a tale on the Hindu thing, and I was actually shocked out of my wits when I learned that they've got that partiality towards the son rather than towards the daughter, because in their idiotic thinking, they are telling themselves of an imaginary cock and bull future. They are telling that when we die, who is going to light the funeral pyre? He is going to light the funeral pyre.
So we need to be nice to him.
What thinking, my God.
Right.
I was shell-shocked.
Yeah.
I said, you can be so stupid.
Selfish. Self-centered.
Absolutely.
Completely
self-centered. Yes.
Oh.
Completely self-centered. That's the Hindu counterpart. But let's come back to track.
Yes. Yes.
So now I said I've given you the ultimate medicine.
Yes.
It's Master Krishnamurti, world teacher's ultimate medicine, and it's the medicine of all the great religions of earth. It's not just the world teacher's medicine. It is a medicine from Buddhism, the medicine from Christianity, the medicine from Hinduism. And the whole of Mahabharata and the whole of Ramayana, the essence of Ramayana is Shoka Rasa. That is, grief is the highest essence of the Mahabharata and the Ramayana.
Yes.
Now, why are you missing out on that? And why do you have a prejudice against suffering? Who told you to run away from suffering? The religions are not telling you that.
Right. But because it is painful, because it is
by the divine.
Yes,
the divine has injected it.
But it is so painful, and we are not accustomed to that pain. We are mostly always looking towards joy and happiness.
Yeah.
And when the pain comes, isn't it natural for us to push it away? Rather than inviting it.
Yeah, very good. I like your thing. See, as we were discussing before, man has a sovereign nature, man and woman.
Yes.
Sovereign nature. That's coming from the divine
self.
center.
You mentioned the sense of I.
The divine center is sovereign nature.
Yes.
And there's a superficial covering, which is all corruption of that primordial source.
Which is the consciousness.
Which is consciousness, which is corrupted and polluted. By your attachments, your prejudices, your likes,
beliefs,
your dislikes, your anger, your divisiveness, your separation.
Yes.
All that is the covering.
Yes.
Now, underneath the covering is a bliss and is a loving nature, is love in essence.
Within you,
of course. You are the mind, gold mine.
Yes.
Of that love, of that intelligence. And now you want human beings to live their entire life from birth till death, never touching that source. Isn't it stupid?
Yes.
So that storehouse is there.
That ignorance is there.
Now you've got to, when somebody is suffering, you've got to encourage them and teach them the art of drinking that suffering. And the suffering will kill the false self.
So it is basically the suffering is annihilation of the consciousness.
Of the self, of the false self.
Of the false self.
There's a true self.
Yes, there's a
which
true
belongs to the divine.
Yes.
But which is enshrined here.
Yes. Yes.
And you got to get there. And think of it like this. Now, is suffering a fact of life or not?
It is.
It is,
It
right?
is inevitable.
Okay. Who put it there?
Again, we try to blame the other person for it.
Yeah. You try to blame your husband. You try to blame your parent.
Right.
But God is the culprit.
Right.
Yeah. God, the great, okay, Parabrahma, he put that suffering there in man's life.
Right. It is there in life.
It's there in life.
Yes.
It's woven into life.
Woven into
now, being the supreme intelligence, you think he could have made a mistake, or is it very deliberate that he did it?
If we look into it carefully, then we see it is deliberate.
It's deliberate. And is it for man's deliverance and good?
That man does not know.
He does not know. He has to find that out.
Yes, man does not know that.
By opening himself up to suffering,
Yes.
he will find that
Because
out.
when the pain is so much, many people also blame God for it. That why did God put this for me?
That is stupidly.
Yes.
Stupidly.
That is what it is.
Not
That
understanding.
ignorance is there. So it's very important to understand that suffering is a blessing.
Exactly. It's a blessing in disguise.
In
yeah.
disguise.
Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
is a great blessing.
I would say that.
If we can understand that, then one would be able to at least begin to look into it and then slowly start embracing it. Because that is the antidote. To embrace that suffering is the antidote, according to the world teacher
You have
Krishnamurti.
to. Yeah. See, that intelligence and love in you, you are the storehouse of that intelligence and that love. That doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the divine. Okay. But there's a deposit here, infinite deposit here. Now, that will come to the fore only when you do your homework of digesting that suffering and dissolving it.
So is this the main objective of Amanaska Yoga course?
It is the main objective of all the great religions on planet Earth. It is the objective of the world teacher Krishnamurti.
Krishnamurti.
And therefore, Amanaska, because I gave my life to the world teacher, it has to have that same flavor. What else can it be?
Yes.
There is only one problem to solve on planet Earth, that is man's suffering. There is no other problem.
Right. And that has been there for so
The beginning of creation.
Beginning of creation. And this cannot be done, this has to be done by the individual themselves.
Of course. But the teachers must help the individual, must inspire the individual, must give enough courage and confidence in the beginning only, so that the individual undertakes the challenge, undertakes the journey, the spiritual journey inward, the journey inward. And so that will come to the culmination. It is not hard, I'm telling you. It's not hard. Because the moment you say all these things, highly materialistic people, engrossed in materialism, drunk on wealth, drunk on comforts and luxuries, they will say, oh my God, I am an ordinary person, please leave me alone.
It's to me, it seems very simple, but not necessarily easy, Guruji. Yeah, it is simple. The concept is simple that you have to drink the sorrow, but it is not necessarily easy because the mind is constantly fighting against you to drink that. Because every time you try to do that, the mind is giving a false narration. And it is telling you to not do it because it's going to be very painful. Why are you going through this agony? And there is another easy way. So it is misleading in a way. The mind does that. But that is why it is a simple solution, but not an easy one.
See, that is, the mind will befool you. That's one thing.
Yes.
The whole of society, and the entire history of mankind, will also befool you, and they will not come near you. The moment you embark on this journey, you have become an untouchable. I'll stop talking to you. Because, why? Because already the gossip and the rumor has gone round. If you talk to Madhusa, you lose your job. Don't go near him. This happened to me. The moment you embark on this journey very seriously, people will disconnect from you.
Disconnect from you. So you should be ready for that.
You should be ready for that, because you're going to get the heaven.
Right. You're going to create a new tribe, a new relationships, a new group of people is going to come.
Yeah.
But first there will be the separation.
Yeah. There will be the misunderstanding of you.
The misunderstanding of you.
And this suffering which the lady has got is a blessing in disguise.
Yes. That is the first.
And it is what I call a divine conspiracy, which is there in every human life. Divine conspiracy, which coexists side by side with divine patronage. And the divine conspiracy, we should not try to react to it, should not try to run away from it, but we should become vulnerable to it.
Vulnerable. Because unless we do that, what is happening in her relationship is also what happened with her and her parents is in a way repeating with her children. That is, the feeling that she had with her father and mother of being an outsider and all those things. Now she is feeling the same again in her relationship with her daughter and her son, because her daughter is dating someone. She is in college and she's dating someone that is not where she is not comfortable with it. My client, she is not comfortable with that person. With that relationship, and again there also she is feeling outsider and separated, even though she has done so much to work on that relationship. In a way, without if she does not work on that relationship, on herself, on her sorrow, and accept this and work on this, embark in this journey, it seems to me that this history is repeating again in a different form, in a different way.
It definitely will, because the karmic pattern will recur. The karmic pattern, the recurrence of a negative karmic pattern can be aborted only by the intervention of awareness. Otherwise, it's a repetitive, automatic pattern. It is.
So that is why the world teacher teachings, the Krishnamurti's teaching about drinking this sorrow and staying with it and becoming aware of this whole self, this whole process is very significant, because it is going to break certain patterns, the karmic patterns.
It will not only break a pattern, it will give you a new life, unimaginably great. You just can't even imagine it. No.
So does the Amanaska course help this lady in this case, this individual, to, when she goes through it module by module, will it help her to embrace this suffering, awaken to the sorrow, and also the mind that is constantly deceiving us and constantly interfering in this path? Will it help her to calm that mind and all those beliefs and the patterns and all those things, so that she is able to embrace that sorrow?
Absolutely. The course is intended for that. It's a course which is the essence of all the religions, and primarily bringing together all the threads from the world teacher Krishnamurti, who cannot be separated from all the religions, because he was born in the cradle of the Theosophical Society, that matrix. He was born there. The world teacher was born there.
Yes.
And Theosophy is the conglomeration of all the world religions.
All religions.
All the world religions. All the world religions from the beginning of time. It's a very great society from all over the earth. It is not only Christianity, it is not only Judaism, it is not only Islam, it is not only Hinduism, it is not only Buddhism, it is also Shintoism, it is Mithraism. Every religion.
So Amanaska Yoga course has drawn the various teachings from all these various religions.
No, that is not necessary. It comes directly from Shankara's heart.
Okay.
Because Shankara is a recipient of that great miracle that happened to me.
Right.
That happened to me. So I speak the truth, which all the prophets of the world have spoken. And I'm audacious enough to speak the truth, because I don't care how it is received.
Right.
But that's the truth.
Yes. So once they start doing this course, probably they'll be able to discover their own path.
They have to be serious. They have to be serious.
Yes.
And they must be intelligent enough in order to get the pulse, the feeling and the intuition that this is extraordinarily great teaching. This is because it's come from the world teacher and it's come from somebody who has received immense benefit from the world teacher's teaching. And the world teacher himself is a conglomeration of all the world religions, the highest aspect of it.
Yes.
And they must get that pulse. And many people have got it.
Yes.
Got that pulse.
And that's from there comes this essence, and it is your own.
You have to work for
path,
it. You've got to work for it. But people must encourage you. People must inspire you. And people must say, I'm there to give you a helping hand. Like you're a teacher. If you say, I'm there to help you out, then definitely they'll take the front.
Thank you, Guruji, so much for this clarity.
No, we are packing too much in too little at time space. It's not actually enough for us, but this is the best we can do in the short window.
Thank you so much.
Namaste.